Well, hello, folks. Well, look who's here again. Kind of like usual, eh? It's Wednesday, the 28th of August, and I'm here again because I have music news to share, which is the best reason to make a video, have something to share. Cheers. So these last couple days have actually been a little bit like Christmas in August. Tuesday, I received my copies of Cloud Over Jupiter's new album, Atomic Jupiter, on which I participate. It's really good. Advanced copies are starting to show up at other musicians' places, and so I'm seeing, especially on Facebook, where people are sharing, other people who are on the album are sharing that they've received their copies, and the enthusiasm about this release is high. I think this is going to be received well in reviews and in the progressive rock buying community worldwide. This is very good. It is. So I got that on Tuesday, or it came in the mail Monday. So I shared with you yesterday. And then yesterday, I get an email about another project that I told you is happening, and it's done. I was explaining to you that the Bemis Center for Contemporary Art here in Omaha has a program. Their sound art and experimental music program. And part of that program, they opened up a space called the Low End in the Bemis complex. It used to be called Bemis Underground, a performance space. But they redesigned it, called it Low End, and it started in 2018, 5 years ago. They just, they're celebrating the 5-year anniversary of it, and they're doing so by releasing this double album, Low End, 5 years at Low End. So I picked up I'm on it. It includes a track by me. I'm so honored. The Bemis has been very, very kind to me for the longest. I'm an alumnus. I did a residency down there. I forget how long ago now. It was a very good experience. Besides that, they've exhibited my work. They've hired me on several occasions to perform. And that's the kind of patronage and support that artists need. Money and a recognition for what we do. So anyway, I'm just chuffed. Brand new track of mine is on here called Stub. Double album. I'll get to talking about the other people on the album in a second. I'm really, really honored to be a part of this group. 180 gram vinyl on this beautiful violet, purple, whatever you want to call it. Pressed by Smashed Plastic in Chicago. Same folks who did my album Future Still for FPE Records. This is a sweet, quiet pressing. I'm so chuffed with how my track sounds. It sounds wonderful. And in conjunction with everything else, this is a really good program. This is a limited edition of 800 copies. Look at who's on here. Besides myself, Laura Ortman, who I know about but can't speak in detail about. But the other people who I know about, Pamela Z has a track on here. Jamie Branch, who unfortunately passed away. Jamie Branch and Fly or Die, a track that they recorded here in Omaha. Marcus Fisher is on here, who's worked with Ryuichi Sakamoto. Eviction, I've talked about her. She's a friend of mine. She's on here. I love the fact that they programmed it this way. Eviction, we're on side 3. It starts with Eviction, then me, and then my other Omaha friends glow in the dark. My friend Aaron Gum, who I've done a lot of work with over the years. He helped me with graphics on most of my self-releases. And then it ends on a bang. Not a bang, but really strong. Side 4 with More Mother. You know I've talked about her. And the other folks on that side, I have to look up. I don't know them. As you would say in the UK, I am chuffed. Extremely pleased at the quality of this. Extremely pleased at how well my track sounds. The album was mastered by Taylor Dupree, who has also worked with Ryuichi Sakamoto, among others. That just means a lot to me. I was thinking that when I went to pick this up that they would want me to wait until next month to say anything, but Rachel Adams, who is the director down there and met me to personally give me this copy, said, well, we hope you'll talk about it on your channel. I said, are you kidding me? Try to stop me. If anything, I thought maybe you folks would want me to wait to talk about it until next month. September 7th or September 8th, September 7th, More Mother kicks off the next series of low-end shows. So she's coming back. This will be her second time on the low-end stage. And that's when it will become available to the general public at the show. I asked about availability outside of Omaha and outside of Bemis membership, and Rachel told me that they're working on that. That it will be available somehow, and I'll let you know when that comes together. It's always pleasing to me. It's still a rush and a sense of accomplishment when my music comes out in a physical format. I know that digital and downloads is the future now, and that's why a lot of young people do music, playlists. You don't even know who the artists are, but I'm old school. And as you can see by my collection library, it's both. It's a collection and a library. I love the physical format. It's what I grew up on. Was fascinated with 45 RPMs as a little boy. Just loved to watch them play as I listened. So this just feels wonderful. I have another project waiting. I'm waiting for it to come to fruition. Another old track of mine is coming out on vinyl on a compilation through Dark Entries on the Dark Entries label. So there's that. That's low end 5 years. When I know how you might be able to purchase this outside of Omaha, I will let you know. Extremely pleased by this. It turned out good. So the Bemis is in the old market area of Omaha, which is downtown. And that's where the two primary record stores in Omaha are. So I said to myself, but it doesn't make sense for me to torture myself. I'm going to be down in that part of town. I'm going to stop into at least one of the stores to share my good news. I went to Grapefruit. Excuse me. It was really good to see Simon Joyner. Such a good guy. And was happy to share with him, the reasoning, behind all these adulting responsibilities regarding my house and the city and the car, where I've just, haven't had any money to spare. But it was good to see him and talk to him. And of course, I had to look, and that was really, I thought if nothing else, I'll browse, because it's a thing we love to do, is to go through the stacks. Sure enough, there were some things there that I couldn't leave without. So I bought a few records. I'm going to show them to you. I had to put stuff back, and I low-ended. I said to myself, what is it here that I feel like I cannot leave without buying? And most of the things that I bought. And so this is what I got, all used. They had a couple of new records. Well, yeah, and they had one not new record, but in the new section that I bought. Otherwise, these were all used. Trumpeter Mark Charig with Keith Tippett and Ann Winter. Pipedream. Several things about this record as to why I couldn't leave it. The label, Ogun. I forget who starts the label, but this is a UK jazz-based label, and there are a lot of musician-wise, there's a lot of connections to what we call Canterbury, and that group of musicians, like, for example, Mark Charig and Keith Tippett, both have played with Soft Machine and several other artists from that Canterbury school, as they call it. This is really neat. Listen to the one side that Keith Tippett plays organ on. And Charig is like Kenny Wheeler. Very, very expressive on the trumpet. Has a strong voice. It was no problem listening to and getting into the entire side. It was really good. So that was one. Really glad to get that. I meant to look this up. Harry Bertoia, they had this of his series of recordings of his kinetic sculpture it's called? And I can't remember if Bertoia is from Nebraska. I have a vague memory of being involved in a series of performances downtown where part of the performance was Harry Bertoia's sculptures being on display and played. I've never had any of his records. This is wonderful. Sonambient is the right term for this. It's the sound of the sculpture in the wind being played. This is wonderful. I know there's a series of these records. I was glad to get one. I have one now. I don't know how many albums he has, but had to get that. Two more used ones. When I saw this and the name, it didn't strike me right away, but I knew this artist. Claudio Rocchi, Suoni di Frontiera. It was in the used, but it was sealed. I just knew. I said, yeah, this is coming home. Isn't that beautiful? So I get it home and look it up, and I know him from the band Stormy 6. That's another one of those rock and opposition progressive rock bands from Italy I have on CD but no vinyl because it's so hard to find. And this is a recording that he did back in the 70s, home recording, where these were home experiments, literally. I'm so familiar with this because this is what I do. You do stuff at home with your equipment, you try stuff. This is really cool. Just the sort of thing I look for. It's not, if there are melodic pieces on the album, but it's mostly him trying things with his equipment. And he does a thing with his voice. I can't technically describe what it is, but it's like he's splitting his voice. And it's not like a vocoder. It's like pre-vocoder. Doesn't sound like a vocoder. It sounds almost robotic, but that was like, I knew that was something that I had to get. And when I got home and played it, it's like, yeah, it's Claudio Rocchi. Simon Joyner got a kick out of me buying this. So I told him, Simon, I've been looking for this album. And he said, really? I said, really? They had this in the used section, sealed. Someone had bought it at Walmart or something, one of those Walmart exclusives, didn't keep it. I've been after this record for a while. Dangerous, Michael Jackson. Yes, Michael Jackson figures large and important in my personal music history. Totally related to the Jackson 5 as kids, as a child. Loved their music. Saw the Jacksons when they went on tour with Michael. When Thriller had blown up, and it was an event. It was like on the level of Beatlemania. So when I saw this used, still sealed, and silver vinyl, I said, sold. Now, musically, it's a strong pop commercial product. But that's the thing about this. When I listened to it, and I listened to this all the way through, because I'd never heard the album all the way through. Produced by Teddy Riley mainly, and it certainly sounds like that. It's a product, and it's Michael Jackson being set up to have hits, hit after hit after hit after hit, is the way the album plays. It's the idea of we're going to try to make an album of hits, and there were several on here. But as a result, it's at one point it almost feels like Michael. I feel the exploitation of Michael. It's like, it's hard to explain, but it's like it's a product as opposed to these records. This is a product for consumption, and this is art. This is art. Mostly, I'm interested in the art. That's why I'm so pleased to be recognized by the Bemis. My track on here is one of the more musical. See, when they approached me to submit, they wanted to license a track from me. Knowing the low end aesthetic, I thought about it. I thought, I could send something really avant-garde, something really wild, something really out there. Or I can send one of the tracks that I had just finished that I was really happy about, which has a reggae feel, but it's not a pop song. It's left up to the listener what to focus on. There is no voice. It's this music. I'm glad they recognize the Bemis people. When I went down there to pick up the album, I was really kind of stunned by how I was treated by the staff, and then Rachel herself, when she came out, I really appreciate being recognized as an artist. And these people, it's like, wow. I was a bit stunned, but it's a nice stun. But my piece is it's not product. It's my art. It's my art. So pleased about this. So that's the difference between, like, say, Michael Jackson and like Taylor Swift, and what I gravitate to. That is pop art and really good product. Not why I listen to music. So the one thing that was in the news, it was on display. I almost missed it. They have a place where they have the wall with the rare stuff, and then they have this rack of new stuff of particular interest. And I had gotten the records and had to put back some stuff, and I was at the counter talking to Simon when I noticed that I hadn't looked at that display, and I said, I gotta take a look. There's always something there. And sure enough, there was. I couldn't leave it. This is a hard to find record because it's rare. It's really good. Wendy and Bonnie, Genesis, came out in 1969. They were just kids. You can see that. They're children. Now, the way that I found out about this album and these songs, isn't that cute? Isn't that sweet? The Super Furry Animals album. Can I spot it? Oh, no, that's Sunrise. Here it is. Here it is. Some spines are real recognizable. This one is. So years ago when I bought this album, Super Furry Animals, Dark Days, Light Years, it starts off with a sample of the song By the Sea by Wendy and Bonnie. But when I bought this album and first heard this, I didn't know it was a sample. I mean, I didn't know who it was. Didn't necessarily know that it was a sample. It starts the album off real dreamlike. It's a real dreamy track. It's fantastic. I love this album too. But when I found out that it was a sample, and I looked it up, the whole album is good. And sure enough, I also find out that when it came out in 1969, the label, a very small label, Sky, that released it went bankrupt. I mean, apparently almost immediately after releasing the album. So it just vanished. So original copies of this are very hard to find and, of course, pricey. But this is cool because this is the Sundays reissue 3 LPs. It has the album, alternate takes, and home recordings. This is very complete. So I was very happy to get this. Very happy. Couldn't leave it. And the other reason why I was able to put myself at ease about buying some records is the fact that I have this gig coming up in October, which they're paying me really nice for it. I just really appreciate it. I really do. Cheers, people. I'll wrap it up by sharing that I listened initially to, well, first off, it's the 31st anniversary of this album by Yellow Magic Orchestra, Technodon. If I showed this the other day, I'm showing it again because I love this band. And then the other day I was listening to this album of theirs, a live album, YMO, After Service. So glad I got to see, it's still in the other CD player in the other room. So glad I got to see these guys live before the fellas passed. And then I gave my initial listens to these 2 new releases from Public Eyesore, Stephen Flynn and Brian Eubanks. And what's going on with this type of release and these type of releases is it's as much about what they're doing as it is you listening to it. This is one long piece. And depending on your frame of mind, it can be an ordeal to get through, or you can dive in and take the journey as the two artists explore the sound of their instruments. And that's really what's going on here, is the exploration of what can I produce with these, with this stuff. It's not necessarily pleasant, but it can be engaging. But like I say, it can also be like fingernails on a chalkboard. I listened to part of this, Tungu, successful utilization of elements. And this is broken down into a bunch of tracks, but as I listened to it, it sounded seamless. So it may be that it was the group put together their stuff, started improvising. This is very interesting. I like work like this where there's starts and stops. There's sounds that kind of jut in. It moves around a lot. But as I was listening to it, I checked to see, is this one long track? And we were down to the fourth track. It all sounds seamless. This is quite good. Tungu. I didn't listen to the cassette yet. So that's what I want to share. The other thing I can share is that I listened to this discus release. I did some good listening yesterday. Really kicked off by the low end. Just chuffed about having new vinyl that I'm on. But I played this. Laura, Jurd, and Paul Dunmall. Fanfares and Freedom. And sure enough, this is a horn. This is a horn group. And the first piece is absolutely indeed. And I did not really read. It's a commission for the Cheltenham Jazz Festival to mark. Okay. So yes, this is good. This is good. It's jazz, and there's also, it sounds almost like a horn band that's playing at a circus at times. But I really enjoyed my first foray into this. It's modern jazz. A lot of improvisation going on there, but they know the vocabulary, so you hear that. Okay, folks, this is a long one. Really happy to share the news about Low End, and I'll be telling you about how to get a copy once I know. Okay, take care.